Hi, this is John Visconti. Today, I'm going to be showing you 50 different moon cards from tarot decks and a couple of oracle decks too. I'm going to begin by saying the moon is a very interesting tarot card. It's number 18 of the major arcana, and it precedes the sun card. Now the Fool can be on his journey, and let's say he went through the journey in order of the cards. He's already been dealt a transition or a change in his life through death, and he's even battled the devil. So we arrive at the moon, and the moon card represents a lot of different things. It's a very complicated card. It represents subconscious, spiritual knowledge, illusions, masks, things are hidden, maybe. It represents our true nature. It illuminates our animal nature. We have, in the traditional Waite-Smith, or Smith-Waite, I should say, we have a lot of duality going on. We have a dog on our left. We have a wolf on the right. We have two pillars, and they represent duality. And then we have a moon looking down upon the animals, and we have rays from the moon coming out. Also have yods. Yods are these little things right here, and they represent spiritual enlightenment, spiritual information coming down from divine sources. On the card, you also notice it's a crayfish, actually. In some cards, it's a lobster, but it is a crayfish. He's in a body of water, and there's a path leading the crayfish between the two dogs and into a larger body of water. So that's interesting. And now both animals are howling at the moon. And we're going to see a gradual progression from the early cards where they're merely holding up the moon to the elaborate moon cards we have today. And I'm going to begin with Visconti Forza. This is the Carrie Yale edition, a gorgeous card. This was originally done in actual gold gilding. And we have a famous Visconti Forza figure here. I don't know who she is, but there she is. And she's holding a little crescent moon. And these cards were not used for divination at the time, although they may be used for that today. They were primarily used for a card game, or perhaps just to tack it to the wall for display purposes, kind of like bragging rights, like, look at me, I'm on this card. But this essentially started a lot of the conventional tarot cards we have today. So once again, this is Carrie Yale. And next, I'm moving on to the Grigonar Estence tarot. This is also known as Charles IV. And this is a scan of an actual card from that deck, and we see an astrologer. He may be an astronomer, I'm not quite sure. He's got some tools over here, and he's working on a project. And here's the moon. It's not very highly defined. It's a red and bluish moon, but there it is. And that's our moon card and the Grigonar tarot. So quite a nice card. I love the reds and the blues. Very beautifully done. Next, I'm moving on to Mantegna, another early deck. It was not used for divination. It was as a teaching tool. It was used as a teaching tool for children primarily. I haven't studied up on Mantegna a lot, but it's an interesting moon card. We have a very small crescent moon here. See if I can get a focus on it. I think I did. And a woman in a chariot up in the sky. and down below her is a earthly scene. I can see a couple of boats and mountains, and yeah, very pleasant card. But no, she's also holding the moon in her hand. Next, I'm moving on to a Vachetta deck I have. Here we see nice use of colors. We see a red dog. It looks like she's holding a bow, and very nice coloring on this card. There's a crab up here, and here is a gorgeous crescent moon that forms a circle, and it's directly behind her. So very interesting. Metelli, my Metelli deck. We have a figure again with a dog, and dressed, very medieval. Well, no, not really. Just after probably 1800s, I'm thinking, maybe 1700s. And she's holding a rod or a staff, and we see a little crescent moon above her. Or he, I'm not quite sure. But very nice card. This is from a Menchiati deck, and we have a gentleman seated here. He's got a couple of tools in his hand, and nice attire with like a cape. And here we see an introduction of a face to the moon, whereas before it's primarily crescents or full moons. Here we see an actual face up in the sky. So quite a clever introduction. And this is the Severo deck, and pretty much conventional, well, Marseille, you know. Here we have the crayfish. We have, I believe, it's two wolves. I'm not quite sure. Some of the artwork is kind of difficult to decipher. Here we see the pillars, okay. We have the yods. We have a crescent moon with a face. A delightful moon card. This is the Soldata deck, and this is a reprint by La Scarabeo. Okay, here we have a couple of figures. Again, I think they're astrologers. They got their tools, and we have another crescent moon with a face in the middle of it. Nice pastel colors in this card, and a very nice moon card. This next card is a new deck, and it's La Corte Tarot, and it was done by a modern artist, and she's recreated old-looking cards, and this is her moon card. We have a crayfish here, and we have two wolves, and we have a moon showing all the phases of the moon. A very interesting deck. And this is the Bolognese deck. This is one of them. This is a deck for playing cards. It was not used for divination. It is not reversible. We have the double-sided card here. We have a couple of people interacting, again, astrologer tools, and we have another crescent moon with a full face. Pretty cool. Okay, we're coming up on Classic Marseille. We have the crayfish. We have apparently two wolves, the two pillars, the zods, the rays, and we have another crescent moon with a face. Very classic Marseille. This is the one J.J. Smith moon card. Quite different than Marseille, but it was, released much later. Have a full face with a crescent underneath, and we have a musician here with a dog, and we have a lady apparently interacting or listening to his music, and we have the crayfish at the bottom. Quite clever. This card is from Oswald Worth, and this is his 1920s rendition. He did some work in the 1890s, but then in the 1920s he revised it. And this is the revision. We have a lobster in this situation. We have two dogs, one white, one black. We have the two pillars. We have beautiful rays coming out of the moon. The moon has a more pronounced face in this card, and it's gazing down upon the white dog. Very nice. This is a bit of a change here. This is from Hieronymus Bosch, and I thought I'd throw this in there. I kind of debated, but I thought I would because it is medieval, and it's a figure holding a crescent moon once again. But that's the moon card from that deck. This one is the medieval tarot deck. It's what's called medieval tarot deck. A couple of figures here. A woman's holding a book, and there's our moon. I kind of like the artwork, so I put that in there. This is medieval Scapini deck, as some of you no doubt recognize. We have a lobster and a body of water. We have two dogs, perhaps a wolf and a dog, I'm sorry. Our pillars are quite elaborate in Scapini's deck. Look more like towers. And here's our moon with the beautiful red face on it. And this is the Old English tarot, a modern creation. We have a crayfish, we have two black dogs, we have buildings in lieu of pillars, and we have a crescent moon. This is Tarot of the Angels, and I put this card in there because it's unique. There's a full moon, there's an angelic being, but she is surrounded by vicious creatures in this water. If you look at some of these faces, they're quite threatening. But since she is represents positivity, the creatures perhaps represent negativity. So here we see our duality again coming through with positivity amidst negativity. And this is the universal weight, almost identical with this card. The colors are a little more enhanced on the universal weight. And once again, we have our classic crayfish and our path, which winds between the dog and the wolf. We have the two pillars, we have the zods, we have the rays around the moon, and we have the classic moon face gazing down upon the earth. So classic moon card, as I'm sure many of you began with this deck. This is much later. It's in the 1980s. It's the Karma Tarot, and I thought it was unique. We have a crayfish here. We have a pathway. We have a like a gray and red or brown dog, perhaps. And instead of pillars, we have bottles. They look like wine or perhaps champagne bottles. And we have an elaborate face within the crescent moon. This is the vice versa tarot. And I have a creature here. I think it's a turtle in the water. I have a white dog and a red dog. I have two pillars. And I have an interesting face in the center of the moon. This is another angel tarot deck. We have a red lobster, I believe. We have two angelic creatures leading a human on the path. We have the two pillars and we have the moon. This is a mystical fairy or mystic fairy deck. I have a crayfish or lobster here in a picture. I have a dog howling, and I have a sunflower, and I see a beautiful purple dress. And apparently this is the moon behind her, with perhaps signs on the moon. And here I have Chiro's work. This is decorative tarot, where Manchetti has worked a lot of detail onto the card. Here's a lobster, perhaps. We have a gold dog. We have a silver dog. We have buildings in lieu of towers, and a very interesting moon. It's a crescent here, but in the center we have a picture of a woman nursing a baby. So very clever, very colorful, very vibrant. This is called the Christmas Tarot, and it's from Eastern Europe, Lithuania or someplace. But it's just simply an angelic figure on a crescent moon. But I thought I'd include it with this presentation. This is another Eastern Europe deck. This is the Halloween Oracle. A very modern looking witch riding a broom with a great moon face. And this is from Victorian artwork. These are postcards from the Victorian age. And so is the Christmas Tarot. I thought I'd throw that in there. This is Heaven and Earth Tarot, and I have almost a crab type creature down here, and we have our traditional path. We have a white dog and we have a wolf, or what, black and white dog and a wolf. We have two giant pillars, and this is our moon. And here are some zods. Yods. And this is the Pagan Tarot, and we have a lobster below. We have a lady sitting on the cliff, and she's holding, well, she's holding a sword here, and I'm not sure what that is, but there's a full moon. And this is the initiatory of the Golden Dawn Tarot, and very vibrant artwork. Here's a lobster. I see a dog and a wolf. I see the two pillars. Pathway you can barely make out. And there is a moon, about a quarter moon there. It almost looks like a face on the moon. That could be an eye, that could be a nose. I'm not sure. This is from the Horror Tarot, and I don't particularly care for this deck because it involves a lot of pips, not very well illustrated. I don't like the colors in the card, but I thought the creature here was interesting. It's maybe a werewolf and under a full moon, so I threw it in there. This card is from the Ghost Tarot, and we have two spiritual wolves. They have transitioned into spirit, and they're still frolicking upon the earth. And this is the moon card from that. We have two dynamic pillars, and we have a very vibrant, very bright moon presented on the card. Next, this is Quantum 2.0 Tarot. This gets into AI a little bit. Here we have a body of water. I don't see a crayfish or anything. I do see two wolf-type creatures here, and these represent the pillars. And what these actually are their nebula gas in the universe. These are probably taken by Hubble, the Hubble telescope. And these are actual cloud formations. Here it's just mirrored. They mirrored it. And here's our moon. Almost looks like a face. Right up here, you see like half of a woman's face, perhaps. This is the Illuminati Tarot, and quite a detailed card. We have, I believe, a lobster. It could be a crayfish. And we have a wolf. And, well, yeah, wolf. And I think that's a dog. So we have the dog and the wolf. We have the pillars, and look at that face on that moon. That is really something. I don't know who that is, but if you know who it might be, let me know in the comments. Okay, closely related to that is a Starman Tarot. Very strange card, actually. This human here represents the crayfish, the way he's posturing. Here we have two more human crayfish, and we have masks on each side. Starman Tarot is really out there, so it's really hard deck to define, but a beautiful moon with a very challenging face upon it. Next card you probably haven't seen very much. This is called the UFO Tarot, and I'm into NASA and space and all that. But here we have an astronaut, Apollo astronaut, standing on the moon. Here's his lunar module over here, and here's Earth. We see Earth in lieu of the moon in the sky. How appropriate. And here is a little ET extraterrestrial. And he's greeting the astronaut or surprising him, or hopefully not confronting him. But that's a very interesting moon card, I thought, especially if you're into NASA and space and the moon. Next, I have a unusual moon card. This is from the Venetian Carnival Tarot, made by a lady in Australia. And here, all the subjects have carnival masks, Venetian carnival masks. You know, they all wear them. And here, apparently, is a moon. It looks highly digitalized, but I think that would be on purpose. And then we have a larger, almost looks like something from Star Wars, but I believe that's another representation of the moon, perhaps. Very colorful, very vibrant lavender and purple in that card. This is Tarot of the Sweet Twilight. I love this moon. I love the face on the moon. I love the gaze. I love the expression of this moon. Who knows what that moon is thinking, but it's certainly something pretty deep and profound. And here we have a human figure reacting to it, and a number of birds. Maybe they represent the odds, I don't know, but there they are. This is from the Titanic Tarot. We have two dogs. I don't see a crayfish. And this is the Titanic ship right here. These towers here, these metal towers, represent the pillars. And of course, the path is represented by this canal or whatever the ships go through. And here's our moon, our full moon. And this is Codex of the Vampire deck. Now, the Codex of the Vampires has 17 moons throughout the deck. 17. Most of them are crescents. But the actual moon card is merely a woman in a body of water, and the moon is just reflected in the water. This is the Golden Art Nouveau Tarot, and we have two wolves. We have a crayfish down here. We have a moon with, multiple interpretations on that. We have yods coming out. I don't believe there are 15, but I could be wrong. But, and here are two pillars. So that's Golden Art Nouveau Tarot. And related to that, by the same artist, is Tarot Muka. And this is done in an unusual way. We have the two little mini towers here. We have a female figure, and around her, right behind her, is a large crescent moon. Tarot of the White Cats for our wolves, we have 2 dogs. I guess that's appropriate. We have looks like a lobster. We have a cat moon face. And we have 2 structures on each side, look like little towers. So, an interesting card. This is my only landscape cards. I have, this is Pastoral Tarot, and it's done in landscape. It's very unique in that way. We have a wolf, and I believe that's a dog, could be another wolf. We have a stream going up, representing the pathway. And we have a full moon and 2 weeping willow trees on each side. And I'm certain that they represent pillars. This is kind of a bizarre moon card. It's from the Antique Anatomy Tarot. And I believe that the skull, back of the skull, represents the moon. But the moon could also be this wreath. I'm not sure. But either one could really represent the moon. That Antique Anatomy Tarot is a very complicated deck. Another complicated deck is True Black Tarot. All the cards, you can see a reflection there. I don't know if they're supposed to represent yachts, but there they are. It could be. And we also have something dripping out of the moon, which is a crescent. And at the center, we have a hand reaching out. And the woman figure here is central. This is Tarot of the Tarot New Ages, and very kind of a strange card, but the entire deck is really crayfish. We have 2 wolves, I believe. These towers represent the pillars. And here's our moon face. It's almost like you can almost miss it if you aren't looking closely enough. This is a 5-cent tarot coming up. I can't quite figure this moon card out, but it's based on Victorian animals. And that's why the artwork's done. There are 2 animals, one on each side. And I guess these represent pillars. Oh, there's a crayfish. Okay. And the moon evidently is a center object, but it certainly doesn't look like a full moon, but there it is. And next I have the Lunar Nomad Oracle. This is a structure here. We surrounded by mushrooms. And then I thought this is an interesting moon card with the faces on it. We have a central face, and I have another face on the right. And this is the Moonology Oracle deck. And full moon in Scorpio. And here we have a crayfish. And we have a stream. And we have a rising full moon here going on. And even though it's not really a moon card, since the Moonology deck, I threw it in there. And I'm going to wrap it up with Deviant Moon. What a better way to wrap it up than the classic Deviant Moon card. Full face moon, a couple dancing, looks like they're puppets, and maybe they're being controlled by the moon apparently. But very clever card. And Patrick Valenza is like the modern day Hieronymus Bosch, as far as I'm concerned. But I thought I'd wrap it up with the Deviant Moon card. Well, that's about it. This is a long video. I hope you've made it through it. And I just want to let you know that this is a tapestry. I have a wolf here. This is the moon. And the next card, number 19, is the sun. So I put that tapestry up because that's the following card. And here, I kind of made this. I bought this wolf piece here. And you're supposed to put like a crystal ball or something like that. Well, then I got a battery-operated moon. on Amazon, and it fits there perfectly. So this is a little brass crayfish, and this is a little Apollo era moon that I have. Anyways, well, I appreciate you watching. I hope you've learned something. And let me know in the comments which of those moon cards was your favorite, or do you have another deck? Do you have a favorite moon card? Anyways, enjoy the moonlight tonight, and thanks so much for watching.